A boy who was just 10 years old when he stabbed his playmate to death in East County was ruled to be mentally incompetent and will not stand trial. Meanwhile, Armando Perez, accused of killing his estranged wife, 19-year-old Diana Gonzalez, in October 2010, surprised the judge at his arraignment on Wednesday with this.
I want to know what I'm guilty, all right? I'm guilty. They're telling me not to be guilty.
He was ushered out of the courtroom, as you saw there. Now, J.W. August with 10 News joins me with details on these two tragic murders and the impact they may have on future cases in San Diego. J.W., thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Give us a little background on sort of the backstory on the Diana Gonzalez situation. What led up to her murder?
Well, the husband was stalking her. Earlier than that, he had raped her, allegedly raped her, assaulted her. She went to try to get a restraining order or even something stronger to take care of him because she was worried about him. And the district attorney decided there wasn't enough there to do anything with him, and he murdered her in the City College bathroom.
There was quite a public outcry, especially against the DA's office and Bonnie DeManis. Why did the DA not press charges or not hold Perez accountable?
That's a $64,000 question. And so far, we really haven't had the straight poop on that. The only thing they've said about this case is, well, we've really toughened things up since then, and we're going to do a much better job. But what about this young lady's death? Why did the district attorney decide not to at least arrest him? It requires two levels. The district attorney looks at cases, can I take this guy to trial and the jury find him guilty? Or is this guy dangerous enough that I will just lock him up until I figure this stuff out? They had that option, and they chose not to do that option.
Yeah, and Bonnie DeManis, if I recall, said at the time, in response to public criticism, said, you know, we didn't have enough evidence. Right. What kind of evidence?
Right, exactly. But did not have enough probable cause with this guy's history and the relationship with his wife and her physical, what happened to her neck and all the things that came out over time. What do you need? You have to have a conviction, a sure conviction, to lock a nut up like that ahead of time.
How did Bonnie DeManis respond to the court outburst that we just saw?
I don't know how she has responded, but I know the judge, silencing the court, and that surprised everybody. And, the cousin yelled something at the defendant, the accused, too, in the court. And whether he said he was guilty, not guilty, doesn't matter on that particular part of the process. He could have taken out pictures and put the gun on the table, but doesn't matter. Whatever he said there didn't really matter. It was just very much out of character for a case.
You're mentioning that because the attorney, Perez's attorney, still entered a guilty plea even after publicly he said, "I did it, I'm guilty."
Right. Well, no, I mean, not guilty plea.
Right. The attorney entered a not guilty plea, even though Perez said, "I'm guilty." How
They
come?
need to work that out a little later. Perhaps it's a public defender and they haven't talked a lot, whatever the reason. But it doesn't matter what he said at that particular hearing, what Perez said at that hearing. It didn't matter. That's to be determined in the next hearing.
Very briefly, the 11-year-old boy in East County, he was found incompetent to stand trial. Is it because of his age?
Yes, he was competent enough. He was mental. He had enough mental capacity to figure out how a knife would kill somebody. He knew that. That wasn't the issue. The issue is, did he understand the consequences of his action? And it was decided he didn't. He didn't understand what being dead is.
We're not identifying the boy because of his age, but what happens to him now?
There's one more hearing, a procedure they go to, and he'll probably be under the control of the court. They'll put him in a place where he doesn't have a lot of freedom, hopefully exposed to rehab. His whole story is sad. His mother was on drugs and boozing it up when gave birth to him. The poor kid didn't have a chance from the get-go. It's just a sad story. You hate to hear that. I mean, and the poor boy that passed away and his parents, it's sad.
All right, and we have very little time left, but very quickly, do these kind of cases impact San Diego, in your opinion?
The criminal justice system is not perfect, and we're always going to have cases like this. I don't think long term it's going to impact them. We're going to see stories and cases like this come down the road again and again. It's sad, people, emotions. We all have a little darkness inside of us, and it's always going to happen.
Alrighty, J.W. August, thank you so much for talking with me.